I'm Danielle. I'm from Sydney, Australia.
Hi, Danielle. I am so happy to have you joining me tonight on Mighty Monday. Welcome here to the show, Danielle, and I'm excited for our conversation tonight. And you're an author of a book, or is it more than one book? So it'll be fun for you to talk to us about that tonight and just our conversation because we have a good time here on Monday. Um, Nights when I share, and I call it Monday Monday because I feel like, why does it need to be a mundane Monday when it can be a mighty Monday or a mighty week? And so that's what I'm kind of all about, is getting our week kicked off right. And what is fun is that you're actually into Tuesday already. So could you explain that to our listeners?
It is Tuesday for me. I'm in Sydney, Australia, and I've been told from people in the US and Canada and even Europe that we live in the future and they live in the
Yeah,
past, because right now it's 11 a.m. Tuesday, where
yeah.
it's Monday evening in other parts
For
of the
us.
world.
Yeah, it's my Mighty Monday at 7 p.m. here Mountain Time, where I am in Northern Alberta, Canada. And then you're like, so is that called like Down Under? I couldn't remember how
Down
Australia is
under is another name
down,
for
down under.
Australia. That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You're
Okay.
my first guest, way over. They're actually in another country. I've had one in Belize, Central America, and then I had one in South Africa, but we just didn't, our connection wasn't good. We weren't able to do that one, but I did try. I have a guest from over there. So yeah, this is going to be exciting.
Oh, that's
So if you
wonderful. Oh,
could,
it'll be lots of fun. Lots of
yeah,
fun, May. I'm looking forward
yeah,
to it. Thank you for having me.
yeah, you're welcome. So if you could go ahead and introduce yourself, Danielle, and yeah, take it from there.
So, I'm Danielle Corrie, and I'm a published author of a book called Tita's Story. It's Teida. Tita's Story, Life Through the Eyes of a Dog. And what Tita's Story is, it's the story of my dog Tita, written through her eyes. So it's her life story written through the dog's eyes, and where she shares about good times, bad times, happy times, and sad times. There are moments where you laugh, and there are moments where you cry. And it also talks about Tita from when she was a pup to her old senior years. And she talks about topics like grief and loss, faith, hope, friendship, and love. And she learns about God. My grandmother, who is in heaven, and that's in the story, teaches my dog Tita about God and about faith. And I know a bit about God and faith. I'm a Christian background, and
Mhm.
it's nice to learn something from an animal's perspective. So I decided to write a book from my dog Tita's perspective.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be so obviously interesting. I haven't really heard, yeah, from a dog's perspective. So that's interesting to kind of how that would look like. And then I was going to say, it sounds like a well-rounded book that covers a lot of the topics that we go through. You said loss and grief and hope and faith. And well, that's something I know well about, loss and grief. And I'm in my story. That's what of losing our son, in 2017, and then my dad and a brother. So yeah, that sounds
I've
really
just
good.
had some grief too, so I thank you, May, for allowing me to come now. And not earlier, a family member passed away in June, and my mum passed
Oh,
away in 2015, and Tita did then too. And more recently in June, a
yeah,
close family member passed away. So there's been a lot of ups and downs with grief lately. And what I find with grief, it's all different. So even though,
yeah,
and I'm
yes,
sorry for your loss, my condolences to you and your family for your losses as well. What
thank
I
you.
find with grief is, even though you have been through grief for one person, it's different when another loss happens. And then it's different again when something else happens.
Mhm,
And so it's like a bit of a roller coaster wave. And
mhm,
I turn to the spirit world. I'm very intuitive and I'm very spiritual, as well as talking to God. And I turn to them and I ask for their support, to be honest. So that's how I go through it. Some days are really rough, and it's like a
mhm,
tidal wave going all over you. And then other times it's like, oh, look at the sky, it's so nice and it's so bright, and you might see a rainbow, and that gives you a bit of
mhm,
uplifting spirits in that time.
mhm. Yeah, and just draw on God, especially in our more most desperate and lonely times. I know I really did after my loss. Just really, I would talk to my son, too, and just talk to him, and it made me feel good. But I would just, talking to God, be like kind of like a prayer to God. It was really comforting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too, Mae. In my book, Tita Story, there is chapters on grief and loss. And I say that because a dear friend passed away, and my dog Tita and I went through this same grief and loss in a different way. I actually, when I was young, I just take a step back. When I was young, I went through school and I was bullied at school. I suffered anxiety through school. Through exams, I used to get sick through every exam. I had not many people to play with. And I even had a phobia of dogs, believe it or not. And what happened then is I never thought I could write anything. English was my weakest subjects, and the teachers thought my writing wasn't good enough for anything. And many, many years later, I moved out of home, and then many, many years later, a dog, Tita, came into my life. And when Tita came into my life, we connected like no other thing. Like it was like a soulmate, but it's animal through an animal. And I wanted to write Tita's story in the hope that it will inspire others and help others along their life journey, and to show that a pet is someone there that you can turn to in support and in times of trouble and even in happy times, and to create memories with your pet, no matter whether it's a cat, dog, bird, even an animal that you just bond with. And they help you as well as humans do.
Oh yeah, animals can be very supportive, helpful, like healing. Yes, it can be a very good friend to us in that time. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of how you really connected with your dog, and then you started, and that's how you kind of started to write, like from
I
a dog.
just wrote. Now, it took me 8 years to write. I had no idea how to write a book from start to finish. There was a course called Write Your Book in a Weekend, and I thought, oh, good. And I was going through my grief of the loss of a dear friend of mine at the same time, and I thought, oh, write your book in a weekend. I can write a book in a weekend. Like, how wonderful would that be? And so I'm getting on. I looked and I thought, well, yes, I'm going to try and get to this course. I'm going to enroll in this course and write my book in a weekend. So I get on the bus. It's near and train, so it's near the station. And I enroll in the course, and I had the words written on pieces of paper. I think I might have written about 10,000 words on a piece of paper. What a paper. And I showed it to the lady who facilitated the course, and she says, no, that's not how you write a book. You've written it all upside down, all about face. You need to describe, not tell. So I might have written words like, a dog had my dog Tita had a bone in the backyard. And she's saying, you need to create a scene so that the reader, like yourself, can actually imagine it as their dog in their backyard eating a bone on a bright sunny day. So you create a scene. So I had to rewrite my whole book like that. Now, I'm not saying every single sentence was like that, but these are tips she picked up on. And then I went through everything. Then I wrote it again, and I came to a dead end where I went back to her a few times. And then I came to a dead end, and I think, well, what do I do now? And I was turning to God and turning to the universe and thinking, who out there can read my book constructively and actually tell me whether it's worth writing or not? And I have a dear friend who does writing as part of his work, and he said, I'll read it for you. And I'm thinking, this is huge wad of paper. Like, are you really keen to read such a big wad of paper? And he did, and he really critiqued it. And in the end, he said to me, what he said was, this has potential. Keep writing. You are a good writer. And I thought, wow, that means I can write. I didn't think I could write anything. And from that spurred me on to write and get this manuscript out there. And then I decided to self-publish Tita's story. And I when you self-publish a book, you go to the bookstores or you go to someone and say, look, here is my book. Would you like to buy it? And I look at it and say, well, can I read it first? And it's like, no, you can't read it first. You need to buy it first. And they didn't want to buy it. And I was just at a dead end. So that's when I decided to find a publisher and publish Tita Story, and a traditional publisher.
Oh, okay.
And the traditional publisher normally publishes non-fiction books. Because Tita Story is told through the eyes of a dog, it's actually fiction, because dogs don't write compared to humans. So
Yeah, I guess not.
they were in a bit of a deliberation, and then they decided that they would publish it, and that's how I became a published author.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. So it's something that you really didn't see yourself being an author. It was this something that God really laid on your heart, do you feel
That's
then?
right. That's right. Yeah, I had no idea back in the day. I mean, I could write a letter to a pen pal, or because there was no social media back then. You write pen and paper and you write a letter, and I might write a letter to you, for example, and it might take 4 weeks to get another letter back due to mail and things like that. And so I could do that, and I loved reading. And putting it both together, it was like, no, you can't write this. Your marks were best was like 12 out of 20 at school. So I didn't think I was capable of doing anything except numbers. So later on, that's where God decided, okay, your destiny is to write a book, and to write it, to do it something different. A lot of people, you see a book and you look at a book and you think, well, this is you have autobiographies and they're great because you might admire the person who's writing it. And I thought, well, I'll do something different and write a dog memoir through the dog's eyes. So
Oh, wow. So that's
what I
like,
did.
it's something different than what's out there.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when you publish a book, the publisher wants to see something unique about your book compared to other books they have on their other manuscripts they have. And it's like, what makes yours stand out versus everyone else's? Similarly, it's like going for a job interview. You've got to make yourself stand out to the potential employer. So your manuscript needs to stand out to a publisher compared to all these other manuscripts that are sitting on the table hoping to be published as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. And I like how you mentioned that you didn't see yourself as a writer, maybe didn't even excel in that. But when God puts something on someone's heart, he totally makes you able, and capable to do those things that you didn't think you could do. I've heard that from other people, things that were like, no, they could never do that. And then God had them doing that.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
I believe if we us humans, we kind of think with our head a lot. Oh, what happens if we do this? And oh, it's not going to work. And a lot of fear and anxiety come into our mind. If we just flow with the heart, if we just think of with our heart, go intuitively and let God and the universe guide us, I think we'll actually, we'll be better in ourselves, and the world will be a better place as well.
But if we try to figure everything out in our own abilities and our own thinking, it can a lot of times like you can't figure that out. But I mean, with God in control, and we let him, he's the one that can work these things out that we in our own abilities, because we weren't made to do these things on our own abilities. I think it's God in us, right?
I mean, I never thought I could do a YouTube live video until you came along. You know what I mean? So there's all these different things, and then you never thought that you could speak to someone from Australia till I came along. So and that's what God put us together to do.
Yeah. Isn't that neat that God can do that? We just have to yield ourselves, right? Be that usable vessel that's like, what is it, Lord? I'm willing. What do you have for me? And be like, no, I can't.
And even just be there to support others in their time of need as well. And, it's okay, because a lot of people also, it's all about ego. I'll do this, but what's the cost? Or I'll do this if you do that. Like and I think, well, just give out there and help somebody that's, even a smile to someone makes their day. And even giving up your time. Right now, my dad needs me, so I've taken time off work because it's his brother that's passed away, and so I've given time off work because they used to live together, and so I've taken time off work so I could help him, also help myself, but he needs his family right now. So that's what, God's telling me to do right now. And it may be it's not going to be forever I give up work. It's just, I've just taken leave off work, if that makes sense. So,
Yeah. So
and then,
for
when things settle, I'll return to work again,
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. You can be flexible like that and just willing to do kind of where God needs you.
Well, I thought God's the one that's telling me to do this. And so it's like, well, okay, God, I know you're not going to leave me stranded. I know you're not going to leave me struggling. And so I'll just follow whatever you want me to do for as long as you need me to do this. And then there'll be another path after that I take. So, and it gives me time to work on my writing as well in the downtime and work on other things. Fix my home up, fix my garden up, look after me. So there's a bit of balance,
Okay. That's good. Yeah. Are you working on a second book or just kind of other writings, or
I am
what does
working
your
on a
writing
second
look
book.
like? Okay.
I am working on a second book. It's more of a personal nature, and it's how I overcame traumas and hurdles in my life to be the person I am now.
So overcoming trauma and hurdles, you said?
Yeah, different hurdles and trauma,
Okay.
that things that happen in your life.
Okay.
It's more of a personal nature rather than a dog's nature. So.
Okay, it's how you overcame
and I've done lots of other writing as well, which you can see through my website, which is daniellecorrie.com, or even social media. I'm also on social media a lot.
Okay.
Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, for example. So there's things like that.
Sounds
that
good. There's a lot of places they can
there's
find
lots
you.
of different hurdles out there. But yes, I do, and I also do authors talks and guest speakers. So
do what talks?
Authors talks, or I do
talks.
public speaking, guest speakers. So some schools or some people may want an author to do a public speaking talk at their venue or at their event somewhere. So I do that as well. So there's different scopes for me to get out there as well. So it's a lot of fun.
Oh wow, it sounds like it would be.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, that's neat.
I believe with grief and loss too, that, and this is something that may help other people, is that when somebody does go to heaven or go to the other side, I believe it's like air. You feel air and air's around, but you can't see air. And if you believe that person or that animal is around you, even though you can't see them, and you hear it and you feel it, then they're there. And I wouldn't let anybody, if you believe that, then keep believing that, because that helps you go forward in your grief and your loss. You never get over grief and loss, but you do get through it.
Yes. Yeah, I've always say that like that too. Yes, and so you're kind of saying with your loved ones that you lost, but you believe that they're still there with you, kind of like
they're in a different way.
Yeah, a real part of your life. Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah. And that's what helped me as well. I mean, I want to try and inspire other people. I never thought I could write a book. I never thought from, knee high to a grasshopper. And if I can inspire someone else out there on their ambitions and their life journey, then I know I've done my job, because it doesn't matter how long it takes you to someone out there may want to be an astronaut. Someone out there may want to be in the Olympic Games. And as long as you just persist and keep trying and, just keep going, you'll get there.
Persistence, right?
Yeah. Just follow your dreams, follow your heart. And somebody might say, oh, no, that's impossible. You can never do that. You can't do that, and pull you down. And you should think that's really a motivation to say, well, I'm going to prove you wrong, because I can do that. Damn you, like that's what people, because there's a lot of negativity around, and I think if there's a lot more encouragement and motivation, then it inspires people more as well.
Hmm. Yeah. And when we're in God and having Him direct our life, then if He's the one behind it, He can make that possible. So yeah,
That's
even though
right.
you're having a lot of negativity, people saying you can't, if God is behind you and He's the one that's put that in your heart, the dream is more His and not yours, for your life, then He'll be the one to make it possible and to
That's
see
right.
it
Well,
happen.
God has a destiny for everybody. So God has a destiny for us. We've been put on this earth to do something for God, and we've got to follow His path. And if that's what He wants, then that's what we do. And I find the negativity is ego and human based, not God based or,
Yes.
universe based.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So if we try and all be positive like God and like the universe and even just like the animals never, you see animals and they may be fighting towards each other, but they don't create wars like we do.
Okay. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And,
Yeah.
it's a bright sunny day outside here outside my place, and you look at the sky and you think, gee, God created that. That's so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. And if we want to see God, I mean, just look around, look out our window, the handiwork, look at this creation, and we see Him and everything. Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful
That's
to do
it.
that.
And even nighttime for you, you'll see the stars and the moon, and it's a similar thing over that side as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. And we need to take that time to look around us, look at nature to see God. We can get so busy with our lives and to-do lists and all these things, get so busy that we don't have time to enjoy uh just God and what He's gave us, our nature and each other, people.
That's right. And just be in the moment of yourself, even if
Mhm.
you're not someone that's able to go outside. You could just be in the moment of yourself and you just feel presence. So you think, oh, you watch something on TV that say you're unwell and you like to watch something on the TV, and all of a sudden your favorite show came up on the television. It's like, oh, thank you. You can thank somebody up there because you weren't expecting that. So these little things that you aren't expecting all of a sudden appear in your life. It's like, just thank you. And at the end of the day, you just thank God for the day that you had, whether it's good, bad,
Mhm.
or indifferent, and try and
Mhm.
see something positive in every day. And that's what I did
Mhm.
with my writing. There was lots of
Okay.
times where I felt, you can't write, and I know you can't write this. Someone else can do a better job than you. But at the end of the day, it's like, but I got it published, and now my book's out in the whole world. The whole world can see my book.
Mhm.
So
Oh, well.
that's
Yeah.
something that I'm happy about.
Yeah. To make you feel good about and to be thankful to God for that He's made that possible. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if it can help somebody out there for their life journey, then I'm happy.
Yeah. Then it's
You know?
worth it all, even if it's just one or two sometimes. But yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I was going to ask you more about your second book that is in the works. Is there some things that you could share with us about that and kind of the inspiration behind that, or?
I haven't got it out there yet to
Oh,
say exactly what it is, so it's
oh,
still
okay.
in the
Oh, okay.
professional editing phase. I'll just say watch this space, to be honest. It's gonna come out, it will come out, and then we can 'cause right now it's in the writing phase, and I thought of one title, but someone else said, "No, don't have that title." So it's really in the
Uh-huh.
writing manuscript phase right now.
Oh, okay. So you're not able to really talk a lot about it. So,
Not at this stage, but maybe in the future,
okay.
interview, we can do that.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I do like writing, I do like reading, and, even, and I do like helping other people and supporting people as
Mhm.
much as I can.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. And what are some of the speaking topics that you do when you do your public speaking and stuff?
I speak with at school because 'cause I've spoken to primary school students,
Yeah.
and I share with them about my story. So I'll give you an example. I
Okay.
was bullied at school, and I'll give an example of, you know, I'm of Lebanese heritage, and I go to school and I'll have my Lebanese bread and Vegemite as my lunch. And it's a Lebanese, you have Vegemite's a spread, for those who aren't aware. It's like peanut butter, but it's different. And it's a spread that we put in Australia on bread or crackers. And I had Lebanese bread and Vegemite. They're two of my favourite things. And I took it to school and someone would say, yuck, what's that? I'm not sitting next to you, and walks away. And I look down at my sandwich and think, well, what's wrong with this? This is from my home and my heritage. And no one wants to sit next to you because you're eating something different. Where today, it doesn't matter, what culture you're from. People are more intrigued in what people eat now. Where back in the day, you feel like you're just a little invisible because you're different to someone else. And so that was one example. And I share examples, stories like that through my talks to let people know that this is what happened. And during my during my final year of school, I'd sit and my favourite subject was maths, and I'd sit in my exam and look at the question, and then my stomach starts churning, and the supervisor comes up to me and says, look, are you okay, Danielle? And I said, well, no. And she goes, why don't you go out for a few minutes, have a drink of water and come back? And I thought, oh, okay. And I was about 17, 18 years old. And 5 minutes later, I come back and she said, you got sick, didn't you? And I nodded my head. And she goes, do you need extra time? And it's like the first time some teacher actually gave me a bit of support and compassion. And I thought, no, I'm okay. I'll get through this. And I did. I did my maths exam. But that's the type of situations I had at school. And so that's the sort of things I explain in my talks when I speak to children. Even adults, I'll have senior groups that want me to do talks. So I talk, depending on the audiences, I adjust the talk accordingly. And I might speak to an adult, but I tell adults too that anybody can write. A child can write a book, and an adult can write a book, and even seniors can write anything. It doesn't have to be a published book. But what I encourage people to do is write their story, and it could be a story of how they migrated to another country. It could be a book of recipes. It could be a book of little antidotes from their pets, or what they believe God has helped them with in their life, and something to pass on to future generations. And that's what I encourage in my talks to adults particularly, is to write these things down. You see your grandma or your grandpa, and it's like, what was it like when they came out, or when they were born, or when they were growing up? And you get stories from them and you think, oh, that's why I'm like this. My uncle passed away recently, and he said to me, I'm an emotional person and I cry in a lot of movies. And it's like, now I know why I'm emotional, because it's from you. Like, I didn't know you were that emotional.
Yeah.
So you find these little things out, what made you choose your favourite football team, or what made you choose, like cars, for example, or just little things about them that you didn't know existed. And it kind of fills in a bit of gap of helping you to think, oh, that's why I am the way I am, is because of them. So that's what I try and inspire with talks.
Oh, wow. Oh, that is neat. Tell how you can understand yourself more, and things about your nature. And so writing is good. Like journaling, is that what you're really encouraging?
Oh, journaling is something else I do. I'll sit down at the end of the day or in the middle of the day if I have 5 minutes, and I'll journal and say, oh, dear God, and today say for example, I'm having a talk with Mae, and it's going to be about you, and I hope I hope you enjoy it, and I hope the people out there enjoy this interview that I'm having with Mae. And then at the end of the day, I might say I had this talk and it was fun, and I let him know how I felt about it. So that's another way of journaling, besides journaling because this and this. It's just giving them a bit of twist. Of, you're just letting them know your thoughts. And sometimes when you're writing to the universe or to God, thoughts come into your head and it's like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. So you might have something that's bothering you, for example, and as you're writing or as you're talking to God or as you're talking to the universe or spirit world, a thought comes into your head and it's like, oh, now I know what I can do about that, or, things like that. So quite often comes when you're still within yourself.
Yeah.
And the
When
more you're
you're
still within yourself,
deep in thought, deep time to think, kind of meditate on things. Yeah.
meditate is a good thing. People might like to have a bath and they just sit in the bath, and someone else might like to go for walks. As long as you just spend moments with yourself and don't let this mind just go tick, tick, tick all the time, because that kind of can cause anxiety,
I mean,
stress,
to
worry.
process. Yeah, to process things.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, even for example, you might lose your keys, for example. Where are my keys? Where are my keys? And you just put them on the table and you walk by and you can't see them. But all of a sudden it's like you're not looking for them and you find them. And that's the type of thing that you do with God. It's like, you're worrying about this thing, you're worrying about an exam, and you're worrying about something else, and the worry takes over your knowledge or your wisdom or just your well-being, and you want to let that take a step back.
Oh, wow. So when you kind of let that go away or take that to God, then your mind can think clearly.
Yeah.
What you mean?
I often go
Okay.
to church. My church is just up the road from me, and I walk up to church, and a lot of people will go to mass, and yes, I go to mass too. Quite often I'll just sit there and kneel, and I'll look at the altar, or I'll look at a statue of Mary or Jesus, and I'll just think, and it might be just for 5 minutes or a couple of minutes, and I'll sit there and pray and talk to them. And then I walk out and I think I'm a lot calmer than when I walked in.
Okay.
And then I
Yeah.
can walk home and deal with whatever issue I have at home. It's like, now I can deal with this because I've just, you know, my mind's not going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. You took the time to calm your mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So even if you just go to church and pray or just light a candle at your local church and come out, a lot of people think that going to church and mass is something, oh, gee, I don't like going to mass, it's too long, or I don't like to do this because of these people in the congregation, but you can just go to church and just sit there, light a candle and go walk out, or just sit there and kneel and look at God in the altar and walk out. The church is always open for people to come in and out.
Yeah.
So that's what
Yeah.
I do at times too.
Oh, okay. I'm not really familiar with that because I don't go. I thought maybe go like the same, like you're saying with mass, and I'm not a part of that like
No.
denomination. I'm actually we kind of home church, so we just at
Oh,
home
that's
our
good.
family. So I don't even go to a building. I know a lot of people do, so they would associate with that. For ourselves, we don't. We home church just as a family, and then so I feel God is just available at any moment. So where you might just
That's
go to
right.
church to
I
get that
actually
quiet time,
home
but just
church
to get
too.
okay.
Well, we home church too. When I was young, we had home masses at home as well. So I understand where you're coming from, and I enjoyed them. They were lots of
Uh-huh.
fun. So do you
Okay.
facilitate that yourself, or?
So it's really just our family that does that on the seventh day Sabbath. We just, have our time of Bible reading. And then also on Friday evenings, my brother has been doing something at his home and we gather at his home um, for that. But as a family, we really like to get in the Bible and read the Bible every evening together whenever we can, when my husband's schedule and matches. And then I'm a homeschool mom, so then I get to do that with the kids in the morning. Like we have our Bible time where the kids, for their reading, I actually have them read from the Bible and I just listen to them and help them with their words. So that's pretty neat. So we get in the Bible, each of them will have their place where they're reading.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
in their own
wonderful.
Bible time.
That's
Yeah, so
wonderful.
we do it uh, like that. So they're really getting in the Bible every day. And I
Yeah.
really encourage that personal time relationship with just God, to talk to him like in the morning when they first get up. I encourage them, did you remember to thank the Lord for the new day? And then I
Exactly.
do
Even
devotions at
when you're
night
sitting around,
and pray.
even when you're sitting around a meal and you have grace, you say grace. We used to say grace growing up before a
Okay.
meal to thank God for,
Yeah.
thank you God for, like, say for example, my mum used to do the cooking. You say, thank you God for mum who cooked this lovely meal that we have on the table tonight for dinner, and and just to appreciate us around the table, we did that. And I remember too, I was having my confirmation, and I had that as a home mass rather than going to church. And we really enjoyed home masses growing up. So that was something. Thank you for bringing that memory back.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good. But yeah, I was just when you were saying that, I was like, well, I mean, I can't really relate to that, but I know that taking time to pray to God and just realizing too that He is ever present. So He's only a whisper
That's right.
away. You know, it's good to have
That's
some
right.
quiet time with Him, but we can talk to Him while we're doing housework, doing dishes, driving down the road. That He is ever present.
Exactly.
You just got to
Exactly.
take that
You
time,
can
though.
talk to him. You need to listen to him too. And people
Hmm.
sort of think, but
Hmm.
where is he? And it's like, well, he's here, but because your mind's
Hmm.
everywhere else, stop and
Hmm.
listen, and you'll hear what he wants to tell you.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? We got to take that time, and then when we open the Word, He's speaking to us too. And so I've heard
That's it.
this little saying that says that people wonder why God is silent, but they don't open their Bible. So I mean, if you open the Word and get in the Word, you will hear Him talking to you. That is His Word to us, and it's alive and active, and just as much, yeah, for today as it was yesterday. That it is new today.
That's it.
Mhm.
That's it.
Mhm.
He's always around. And, on his special days, whether it's Christmas, Easter, or other significant days in the year, acknowledge him there as well. And, Mary and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, everybody up there, they have their special days up there. And even just to say a small prayer, it always helps just to say thank you.
Mhm. Yeah. And you say
So,
thank you. Yeah. To God and realize what He's doing for us, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thank God that I became a published author, because I never thought I would be that published author that, from when I was at school to, many, many years later, I never thought that would be the
Mhm.
path that I was
Mhm.
to take. And I have, so
Mhm. Yeah. God, yeah. You just never know what He has for us, but we got to be open and ready and available, and then He can use that to get His message to others, to bring glory to His name and to give hope to others. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right.
So
That's right.
it sounds like that. Sounds like that's what you're doing. Yeah. With that.
Thank
Your
you.
book and your next book that's coming out. That's really good that you're able to do that. Um,
Thank you. Thank
and
you, mate.
give God the glory for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
So
thank you for this opportunity, to talk about these sorts of things, because a lot of people just talk about, okay, you've got what's your book about, and they talk about the book and becoming an author, but it's nice to take it on a different angle and share that side as well.
yeah, that's good. Well, you're welcome. Yeah, I've enjoyed our conversation, and this evening, well, morning for you, again, it's Tuesday there. But yeah, is there kind of any other specific things that you would like to be able to share with our audience before we wrap it up?
Just one thing too, like it's to do with God, but I'm someone that hasn't got children, for example, and people say, "Oh, why haven't you got children?" I say, "Well, if I was meant to have children, God will let me have children." But instead, and I'm talking about biological children. I have nieces and nephews and godchildren,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I classify them as my children. So even if someone's not married, or someone's, not the stereotype to everyone else in your group of friends or your network that you talk to, it's okay that they're different, because that's how God made them.
Mm.
And I was
Mhm.
actually at school.
Mhm.
It's okay. Basically there was a little thing that says God doesn't make junk. So I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that they're just as important as the next
Mhm.
person, and
Mhm.
God doesn't make junk. They make everybody different and
Mhm.
as an
Mhm.
individual.
Mhm. Oh, wow. Yeah, and then
So
when we let Him into our lives, and He can redeem and restore and work on, places in our lives. But you're right. Yeah. We don't all have to
yeah.
fit under that, everyone be married or have children or all these things.
Travel the world or buy your own house, like all these expectation life has it of you, but just be you,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. So God created you to be and to do.
You
Yeah,
are.
he's got a purpose.
Exactly.
He's got a purpose for each one of us.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to go with it and let God take you on that journey.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. Well, I've enjoyed our time. So, yeah, if you kind of didn't have any other those things you wanted to share, and then yeah, so we will close.
Thank you, Mae.
Yeah, you're welcome. Just all the best to your continued writing and your continued walk with the Lord. Just the best,
Thank
and that you
you. Thank
continue
you.
to be a light to others where you're
Thank you
around.
so much. Thank
All
you.
right. I'll take care. And to my audience, I hope to be back here next Monday, Lord willing. I'm not able to do every Monday sometimes, but sometimes the guest has to cancel, but I'll do my best. And you have a great week. And you to now have a great week. Take care.
Thank you, Mae. Thank you so much.
All right. Bye.
Bye.